Welcome, jesters. Let's talk about everyone's favorite topic, AI. Okay, it's not my favorite topic, but a lot of people are interested in it. So here we go. Just for today. Okay, what is the future of AI? It is a fad and it will subside eventually, right? In terms of like a consumer product, I honestly think a lot of people are going to start to realize that a lot of the AI generatedness of the world, people aren't really going to enjoy. And I do think that there will always be a relatively easy way for some people to tell the difference between AI generated works and actual human created works. And I think that people will rediscover a fondness for human generated art and creation. You know, I've already noticed that a lot of headless channels on YouTube are not as headless as they used to be. The creators actually appearing. And that just adds a genuineness factor that the AI slop will never be able to match. So, it's going to subside, but it is going to be around forever, realistically. And one of the interesting ways that it's going to be around, and there's probably going to be news stories. This sounds like a 2020 segment or something like that in a few years, where AI has taken over, the job of compliance, of corporate compliance, of bureaucratic and regulatory compliance, right? And I think what we're going to have is a rather ridiculous system where, compliance and compliance reports and, all this paperwork required by all this, the alphabet soup of government agencies is going to be more so than it is today, even a push button in, whatever, enterprise resource planning system that you have, right? There's going to be someone in the compliance office that every, month, every quarter, every year, whatever, they're going to go and they're going to push a button that says generate reports. And the system is just going to go through, the AI is just going to start churning through a bunch of stuff, and it's going to produce a bunch of PDFs that are then distributed to a number of different government agencies where, again, they are just going to be submitted through another AI system to validate the compliance. And then the bureaucrat is going to get a report that says, okay. And the reason this is going to be absurd, and the headline of the story is that no human will ever have interacted with any of these things in any particular way. So you will have a lot of compliance going on that nobody knows about, that no actual person ever knows about, right? All these laws that were a big, big deal when they were passed, like SOX and Dodd-Frank and, Elizabeth Warren's, personal shakedown scheme, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, right? And even to some extent, HIPAA, Obamacare even, right? All of the compliance around these things is going to be totally, totally automated. And what's even more crazy, and I think what some reporter is going to discover, even though it will have been happening for probably years and be perfectly legal, is the rule set, the AI that does the rules for compliance will be the same one used by the companies generating the reports and the bureaucrats analyzing the reports. Yes, so the corporate compliance officer is going to click the button, right? And it's going to go through and produce a bunch of compliance reports that are going to be checked by, a compliance rule set that then they're going to send to the bureaucrat who's going to literally run it through the exact same rule set because that rule set was developed by one of the big six auditing firms or something like that. Which means that, of course, it's going to pass because, if it was created by this AI and then evaluated by essentially the same AI, I hope that the AI is going to agree with itself. Which means, again, that no human or very, very few humans will have ever looked at these things. And honestly, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if most of the reporting is just submitted without really any kind of review or a very tertiary review, right? Or they'll just submit it through another AI. And the bureaucrats? No, forget it. They're just going to run it through their little AI system and they'll be done with it. So you're going to have a whole lot of compliance work being done by AI that no human will ever look at. And I know I've said this before, but all these laws, like Dodd-Frank and SOX, they were a big deal when they were first introduced. After a couple of years, everybody had forgotten about them. Really, and nobody, almost everybody that I encountered in the last 20 years in the corporate world never mentioned, not once. Yeah, so you have all these compliance laws, but if nobody actually knows they're complying, are they really complying? Or are they so far removed that they honestly don't matter? That's what I think is going to happen. So, but another interesting, consequence to this I'm wondering if the objection that our friends on the left, especially our political friends on the left, are having to AI is because they actually see compliance and the regulatory bureaucracy and everything around it as just a giant white collar jobs program, right? Like I said, even now you have all this compliance going on that nobody knows about, but there's a lot of people doing an awful lot of busy work to stay compliant. But if nobody knows about it, then why are they doing it? They're just creating paperwork for paperwork's sake. Okay, that's a tremendous jobs program. But if you have AI doing all of this work, somebody's going to be like, well, do we need these people? Both on the corporate side and, quite frankly, on the bureaucrat side, right? Do we need an army of bureaucrats if an AI is just doing all the compliance checking? Yeah, that's something I think a lot of our friends on the left don't want to happen. Like DEI was a giant jobs program, right? So the president gets rid of all the DEI requirements, DEI funding, and, well, a whole lot of people are fired or let go because they really weren't doing anything worthwhile to begin with, just like a lot of the compliance officers and bureaucrats in the regulatory agencies. They're not really doing anything worthwhile. And an AI can do that. And I'm right.